Welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV. Since last time, I did a whole bunch of Palace of the Dead on my own, and we're going to see if Dark Knight can't get to floor 150 in this recording to show you that boss. And then afterwards, depending on how much time is left, I might jump right into 151 to show you what's up. Although, more than likely, it's going to take the majority of the recording to get through this floor set, because even with increased potencies, due to the nature of how substats are allocated in Palace of the Dead, our insane damage output compared to what it used to be isn't as insane. Because basically substats within Palace of the Dead are minimal. The only actual stats you have are weapon damage, and weapon magical value, and HP. You don't actually have any defense. You don't actually have any... actually, I'm sure there's some sort of defense values, because otherwise tanks would take, you know, the same damage as everybody else. But, there's no, your determination, your critical hit, your direct hit, your seal speed, they're all at their base value. They don't have, you know, so that's why you gotta eat direct hit food to get direct hit chance. Because the way direct hit works is, if you don't have any on your gear, you can't direct hit. And that's because they changed the values. They literally just replaced every instance of accuracy, they replaced it with direct hit. And so at base accuracy in the original game, you know, you weren't gonna, you know, pass accuracy checks. So now, instead of having an accuracy check, it's just a direct hit check, which is basically, do you have direct hit? Yes, there's a chance to a direct hit. How much do you have? You know, you'll do more. But since everything's at its base values at level 60 are like 354 or something like that. Maybe a little bit lower. It's been a while. So even with the best direct hit food available to us, we can only get like, I don't know, like 40 direct hit tops, which is like 2% direct hit rate. As far as critical hit goes, you can still critical hit, because the way critical hit has always worked is even at base critical hit, with no critical hit on your gear, you have like a 5% critical hit chance. So, direct hit is affecting our DPS in here by a very, very small amount. Obviously, I'd still rather have the chance for it to happen, but it's not a big deal. Also, these gargoyles, they hit very hard, and they do that poison, and that poison ticks for a lot. So anything you can do to slow down their attack speed, to, you know, get them much more, and then you'll definitely want to be using sustaining potions at this point. This floor set is really what sort of separates the wheat from chaff. Because if you can't beat this floor set, you can't beat any of the further ones, right? Like, not only will you actually be like mechanically locked out of doing them if you fail this floor set, but you know, like even if you beat this floor set with like 2 minutes left or something, you know, that's not enough. Like, it's like a win's a win, but it only gets harder from here. Things only hit harder, things only get more crazy abilities. And if you're wondering about why the palace looks like this again, well, it's because they decided to basically simplify floors 101 to 150. 101 to 110 is lava caves still, and then 111 until 151. Well, 111 to 150 is caves with crystals in them. 111 to 130 is golden crystals, and 131 to 150 is these bluish white crystals that we've got here. So that's what that's all about. Now, those big gargoyle type demons, they've got the poison and the backflip attack and, you know, the high damage. These deep palace demons, they do high damage, but their main shtick is if you don't kill them fast enough, they do a twister move that is a nearly instant cast that reduces you to single-digit HP. Which, basically, if it happens and you didn't kill them right as it happens, then you die to their auto attack. So, yeah, you gotta kill these guys as quickly as possible. And you don't want to lollygag on any of these floors because the dungeon's not going to be kind to you, so you can't really afford to lose time, especially on tank or healer, because you're strained for DPS, which affects how fast you're gonna go. You really can't lollygag at all. And if you're on Red Mage or anything breakable like a DPS, I would completely advise only one-on-one engagements. Always have sustaining potion going. And if you're gonna fight those gargoyles, which are very dangerous for you to fight alone, you probably want, if you're DPS, you want Steel Pomander because you have no way to reduce their DPS. And you might also consider buying or making yourself some antidotes. Although obviously you don't want to rely on them too much because I believe they put your sustaining potion on cooldown. Although if I might be wrong about that, they might only put normal potions on cooldown. Either way, it's something to be aware of. If you use any other type of medicine, you know, one of your potions, one of your methods for healing is going to get put on cooldown. But a good idea from this point onwards is to have echo drops and antidotes, and maybe even I think they're called spine drops. They remedy paralysis. So you want all of that because debuffs like that within the context of House of the Dead, they matter. And so, you know, like, you gotta have maps, you gotta be quick on them. It's actually a pretty serious dungeon from here on out. Like, more serious than any other dungeon in the game. Even more serious than Heaven on High, really. The next deep dungeon, which is called Heaven on High, it's so much easier than this that I've actually been within the last floor set of getting to the end solo, and the only reason I didn't is because I ran out of time, because I was lollygagging, and because I had bad luck with Pomanders. And the sad thing is that, yes, it's eventually going to come down to the fact, like, did we get good Pomanders or not? Because, you know, eventually we're going to have to use them in order to progress or in order to beat a boss. And in a way, that's already started. The floor 140 boss, even though it's literally just the floor 40 boss re-skinned and with higher HP and higher damage values, the same exact mechanics. Because of the damage it deals, because of the increased HP values and stuff, it's a real bear. It's very hard to kill, and I actually wound up using a Steel, a Strength, a Lust, and even a Rage, because at first I wasn't trying to use my Strength or Steel Pomanders. I thought maybe on tank I would be durable enough to just, you know, while still being able to kill the ads fast enough to, you know, get it over with. And I was wrong. I was Turbo Omega levels of wrong. I nearly died, and that would have wiped all of my progress. That would have wiped, let's see, 14 times, what, like half an hour, so like 7 hours. 7 hours of my life just down the toilet. So I popped the Rage Pomander, killed the ads really quickly, turned off the Rage Pomander, you know, turned on Standing Potion, hit my Max Potion, hit the Steel Pomander, hit the, you know, Strength Pomander, and then managed to recover due to all the excess mitigation. So you really got to be careful. Like even before this floor set, you need to be careful. It's very easy to die while solo. And even when you're not solo, like your group needs to be paying attention. They need to be sticking together. I mean, they don't necessarily need to stick together if they're all skilled and know what they're doing. But most of the time when you come in here with groups like that you make in the PF or something, no one's been this deep because the average or casual player, they don't do solo runs of Palace of the Dead. They don't even do, you know, floor 100 runs. Like a lot of people who are interested in Palace of the Dead, they're either solo players with like very few friends, or like they're solo players that are specifically just trying to get to 150 plus to get Night Pegasus whistles. I hope we find a Strength Commander on this floor set. I hate damage down. In fact, I really hate all the debuffs. Some are, you know, some are less important than others, but they're all preferable for you. Like they're all bad news because they make it take longer. They all, like, this means I have less time now. Like, because it's taking longer to kill things. I'm not exactly sure the severity of the damage down. I think it's like 10 to maybe 15%. But, you know, it's enough to be noticeable. And it adds up, you know, monster to monster. Like, if each monster is taking like an extra 5 seconds to kill, you know, it only takes, you know, after the whole floor set is done, that's the whole minute that was lost, you know. You have to be very mindful of the time limit in here. Because you can do everything right. Like, you could get through this, you know, you don't use any Pomanders that you don't have to, you know, you kill monsters every floor until the rune opens and you immediately go up. But depending on what, you know, debuffs you get, and depending on, you know, what happens to you, you know, it can ruin your run. It can, you know, you can run out of time. The first time I got this far solo, I was on Paladin, and this was back in Heavensward. And I made it to floor 150 with 13 minutes remaining, or something like that. And I didn't have any Rage Pomanders left, and I didn't even think about using them for the ads anyway. That's the move. Charybdis. Okay, it's not an instant cast. It can be silenced. I remember it being instant for some reason, but maybe it's because it traumatized me because I've wiped it before. Or it's killed me before at the very least. But I wound up timing out on the 150 boss because while she couldn't kill me, I couldn't kill her either. I was barely, ever so barely out damaging her HP regeneration because I couldn't kill her ad fast enough. And this meant that I would have needed, I got to her with 13 minutes left. And I did some math at the time, and I found out that I would have needed at least 21 minutes to kill her with that method. And that was with a Strength Pomander going. So, you know, I would have had to use 3 Strength Pomanders on top of, you know, fighting to the very best of my ability, never missing a global, never missing an off global. You know, it's just that sort of thing that that really makes this portion of the dungeon rough. This was always the floor set as well when I used to do this with friends a lot, when my friends still played regularly. They're all waiting for August 11th with bated breath. And also the trailer came out today for the next patch update. If you want to check it out, it's pretty cool. You know, just YouTube Final Fantasy XIV 5.3 trailer, and you'll see it. But anyway, when I used to do this with my friends, they pretty much treated, like in a group of 4, they treated the first 140 floors as a complete joke. Like they mass pulled, you know, they ran over traps. They just did not care because we all knew what we were doing. We were all proficient players, and so we just, you know, we came in here, we got this shit done. When we got to this floor set, that stopped. And it's not that you couldn't in a group of 4, it's just it becomes way more risky. And now this, the penalty I have right now, the lower HP, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal because I'm on tank and I naturally have a high amount of HP. But it is a big deal on anything else. Because like, you know those gargoyles? With lowered HP on like Red Mage or something, if you were to start a fight with them without a sustaining potion on, with your HP reduced by 25% or whatever, they could literally kill you if they critical hit a few times. Which, I don't know if the monster... Someone said that they made monsters unable to critical hit somewhere in like Shadowbringers or something. And I don't know if that update applied to the rest of the game. If it did, that's really good for us. But if they didn't, if it doesn't apply to like the House of the Dead, for instance, then, you know, what I'm saying still applies, right? But with your lowered HP, you know, you can be killed more easily just outright by like, you know, a heavy hit. I hope we get the Mandragoras. What are they called? As long as it's not Mimic. You know, the other thing you can get, the little plant dudes, and not the Mimics, because I used an alteration. Well, looks like we're fighting 2 of these things at once. Not advisable, but it's doable at this stage of Palace, especially on tank. Because you have 2 interrupts. That's the beauty of tanking here ever since Stormblood. You have 2 interrupts, and so, you know, and more importantly, you have silence. Silence is a very important interrupt in here, especially later on. Because later on, most monsters are going to gain immunity to stun, so you won't be able to stun like 55% of the monsters in the later floors. And, so yeah, that's a big deal. But, you know, more importantly, like fighting mimics, you can silence Pox, and later on there will be golden chimeras, which are sort of a reference to golden dragons in Lufia 2. I'm fairly certain that this dungeon was based off of the ancient cave from Lufia 2. But I can't say that for certainty, because there are other dungeons and other RPGs that are similar to it. But boy does it reek of the ancient cave from Lufia 2. And Oh, hey, look, we did get them. We got Pygmoyoys. That's what they're called. I remembered what they were, what their actual name was. They're Mandragora family type monsters, by the way. Yeah. If I do make it to the next floor set, by the way, whenever I record it, I won't be talking as much because it takes a lot more concentration. It takes a lot more chutzpah. Like, I'll talk a little bit. Like, I'll talk between, like, floor transitions, if they happen, if I don't die outright to bad luck or my own stupidity. I'll also start using intuition pomanders because the next floor set, if I make it there, that's... If you can beat the 151 to 160 floor set at the very least, then, and you got some intuition, like you found a few hordes, then you have a chance at getting a Night Pegasus Whistle for free. You can also buy Night Pegasus Whistles, but, you know, because of where they come from and how difficult it is to obtain them, they cost a lot of money. Players make them cost a lot. Some people, they form Palace of the Dead statics just to come down here to get them, to sell them. So, that's another way to make money in this game, if you really wanted to. If you're the type of person that, you know, wouldn't get tired of Palace of the Dead. We'll refresh our strength after our current one runs out. Succubi, we'll try to snipe you with Void Fire. They also do Dark Mist. See, isn't it just great having 2 interrupts? Also, I completely recommend, if you're soloing along with me, or if you're soloing, you know, at all in here, and it's your first time, definitely pop a Raising Pomander for this floor set, just in case you do make a mistake. Because, you know, when you die, it's over. It's over. Like, you don't get a chance to rectify your mistake. You have to play all the way back through the last 100 whatever floors to, you know, make it, to do it, to get through. Oh, whoops. I don't know why Lemming Dread triggered. I guess there's a weird thing on controller when you're holding the triggers. Where the right analog stick will function as though it were the buttons for the D-pad. I don't understand why that's a thing. It just is. And it's annoying. Yeah. Also, as you can see, some monsters in here are less effective at hurting you than others. Like these Hellhounds, like even though this is a Gloom floor, you know, you can clearly see that I'm not having to use sustaining potions to keep up with their damage amount. They're not doing anything special. You know, they're not. They don't have high HP. You know, their HP value is like average. They look cool. I wish I could get one as a mount. I think you can get one as a mount from the Feast. It was a seasonal reward for the seasonal PvP that the game has. But I've never participated in the seasonal PvP. I'm not a very competitive person. And I've never liked PvP. So, like, as a whole. I mean, I do find occasional PvP in this game fun. I do like objective-based PvP as well. So, like, I really like Rival Wings. I like Rival Wings. I like... I also like just killing stuff. So I liked Slaughter when it was a thing, and I don't mind Ansel Hakir because it's sort of like you kill, and the killing is what is important, but there's also the objective of ooh, we can refresh our strength again. I'll take that. There's the oh jeez, what am I trying to say? You have to get the UVOs or whatever, you know, basically the standards, the flags, positions. Alright. Just like before, these Onyx Dragons are the same as the Dark Dragons from earlier in the dungeon. They just... Jesus. Ouch. But they do that, so... Everything, as you go deeper, everything starts to get rougher and rougher. They all have some sort of special ability or attack that they might have like as a boss when they're like presented as bosses in other portions of the game. If they're presented as bosses in other portions of the game. And like these undead dragons, you know, they're basically Bone Dragon from Labyrinth of the Ancient. And as a result, you know, it makes the regular monsters in here a lot more deadly than regular monsters in like a dungeon. Also, you might consider being more careful with opening treasure chests. Like, if there's the possibility that you could get aggroed by a monster, or there's like patrolling monsters that are coming, you know, soon, you might stave off your curiosity to see what's in the chest, and just kill the patrolling monster or kill the monsters that are near the chest first. Because getting mimics at this stage, the mimics, even though they're level 60, and you know, they should have made them retain the same level of strength that they have when they first start being level 60. Like how the earlier mimics were locked at certain levels, like 43 for the 21 to 30 set, like 50, you know, beyond that or whatever. They should have locked them at you know, lower floor strength because you know, they have the possibility to give you pox anyway. Every monster's HP values go up, so they could have had their HP values go up, but they have their attack strength go up by a ridiculous amount too. Mimics later on, they hit basically twice as hard as anything else on the floor. Maybe more like 150%, 1.5 times as hard, but still, they hit wickedly hard, and they also cast pox on you. So with their high intent HP, if you don't have silence, then you're gonna get poxed, which ties you to purity pomanders. And the chance to encounter mimics only increases the deeper you go. So, after a certain point, you might as well, I mean, obviously, since it's House of the Dead, we're not bothering with silver chests anymore. But after a certain point, you might as well not bother with brown chests either, because they could just turn into a mimic and start killing you. Although, I think after a certain floor set, because I'm not sure which set, but after a certain point, supposedly, mimics only come out of gold chests. But I don't know if that's reliable. Also, another thing you can do is, obviously, just like everything else in an MMORPG, somebody went online and made a guide for it. So, you know, I don't have all the answers. I don't remember every single thing about every single monster in here. But people have made detailed guides listing the attributes and special attacks and maneuvers of every enemy within House of the Dead. So you can look that up and make the place a lot easier for you. The opinion of the people making the guide isn't always right, and sometimes they're just factually like incorrect. Like they'll say like, you know, danger level impossible, and it'll be like for solo or whatever. And it'd be like, if you try to fight this monster, you'll just die. There's no way you can win, not even with commanders. And it's like, well, that's not true. I mean, for some monsters it is. For some monsters it is true. But for almost everything, like, as long as you got commanders, then you're set. And like, as long as you got commanders and you're one-on-one, and you can keep it one-on-one, you're set, you know? That's the other hard thing about this range, is that the deeper you go, depending on how the floor sets are laid out, you can sometimes get screwed over by having a very small floor set, like 3 or 4 rooms, but they pack in like, you know, 25 monsters into those 3 or 4 rooms. So it's like, how do you keep that one-on-one? Because, you know, like 1/3 of those monsters are patrolling. Like, that can happen. And if that happens, you're kind of boned. I also think that they figured out like the algorithm or the programming for like which floors have a chance to give you gloom and which ones have a chance to give you debuffs. And a lot of times that sort of thing overlaps. So, you know, just be cautious. Gloom by itself, though, even in the later floors, it makes things take longer, obviously. It's like, basically it's the same as getting, you know, damage dealt down, and you also basically get damage taken up. But, just by itself, Gloom isn't that big of a deal. Although I guess it does also increase the speed at which monsters spawn. So it might be a big deal for that reason. But I've never thought of it as like a super duper big deal. It's obviously a bigger deal later on because the higher numbers go, the more that percent damage up matters, you know. Since we're on 149, assuming we don't make mistakes, die or anything. I mean, I've got the raising up, so obviously I think we'll be mostly okay. But assuming we don't make mistakes, we should be able to get to the boss with plenty of time to kill her. I'm not sure if the DPS from increased potencies will allow Dark Knight to kill her in a suitable amount of time. I probably won't talk at all while I'm fighting her, unless I just decide that it's going easy and I can, you know, deal with her and talk. She has 2 types of ads, by the way. She has zombie ants that crawl towards you to immobilize you. Fortunately, when they grab onto you, you don't become totally immobile. At least not the way I remember it. And those have to be killed quickly. And then she's got a succubus ad. You know, basically, it's basically, you'll see, it's sort of similar to Halicarnassus in Hockey Manor Hard Mode, but her blood rain, instead of being powered up by her eating the ad at high health, all she gets from eating her ad is she absorbs their HP. She regains like a set like 12% of her HP or something. So when the succubus ad comes out, you kill the succubus ad. You don't do anything else. And you can kill it by transforming into a manticore with the Rage Pomander and just hitting it. So you can expedite the fight. Also, another thing, you've seen me playing on tank a lot, and you've seen me just sort of like, sometimes when an AoE is big, I just pop cooldowns and eat the damage. Later in the dungeon, even on tank, you won't be able to stand in AoEs. They'll either deal too much damage outright, be instant death, or inflict a damage over time effect that will kill you in addition to the auto attack. From the amount of damage you take from the initial hit, which is my least favorite way to die. I guess I'll go ahead and pop Steel and Witching. Not ideal, but I think we can handle this. Whenever you witching a group of monsters like this, take note of which ones turn into imps. When something is turned into when a monster is turned into an imp, they still deal full auto attack damage. So obviously that means, you know, they're not as debuffed as other things. Take out this succubus next because she has the more dangerous. She has the ability to inflict terror. And will do them far more frequently than the dragon will try to do anything to us. So she goes down next. Now obviously you noticed I popped my Pomanders to this. Like I popped no, this wasn't like some easy thing. This was 3 Pomanders. I used a Witching, a Steel, and attack up. Now obviously, the attack up lasts a long time, so I'm going to be able to take it against the boss, but that was not ideal. See, I've used almost 3 minutes of my buffs, and every minute in here counts. I could just go up. Come on, check. Okay, we can't get to the boxes easy. If you can get to boxes easily, I totally recommend at least checking them out. Because even if they turn into a mimic, you know, they could have also been like a Steel Pomander, you know, like, that's the thing about this dungeon, is you kind of have to, you do have to take risks. Like, you absolutely do have to take risks. And, let me see. Her name is, Tisiphone, or something like that. Tisiphone, or Tisiphone, I guess? Tisiphone? Yeah, that sounds right. And, we're gonna be lusting her ass, and taking her on. We have a good amount of time to deal with her. I'm just going to stay in the succubus form as long as possible. Because... Just aim at me already, you dumb bastard. But to keep the Vuln stacks on her as long as possible. Let's see, here are the crawling ads. And they die real easy. Like, you know, they're like one or two hits, 1 or 2 globals. Now, if I was on Red Mage, I wouldn't be able to stay in Succubus form this long. I would have to come out of it to heal. Because Red Mage's durability in here is tied solely to their healing, pretty much. Where's that? Okay. So I probably should have saved Carven Spit to kill this Succubus, because I don't have very long to kill her. Tisiphone is at 88%. And look, she's already going to eat the ad. Ad's at 46%. Yeah, I don't have the damage to kill the ad. And look, she got 4% of her HP back just from eating, you know, the ad at... I guess you could equate basically, 10% of the ad's health to 1% of Tisiphone's. Definitely going to be using all our lusts here because we gotta get this damage dealt. I see when he grabs me, I won't be able to move, so I'll just have to eat the AoEs that happen. And they're gonna deal a lot of damage to me. See? And if you're on Red Mage, you can't let that happen. On Tank, you can let it happen because you have more HP to work with, you take a little less damage due to your tank traits. But yeah, there's the Fanatic Succubus. We might be able to get her this time, since we're going to be able to Balm stack her, but probably not. Like, realistically, no. Like, she's gonna get targeted here soon, and like maybe like we'll get her lower than we got her last time, but see how easy it is to get behind on HP? And we're going to have to rebuff our Pomanders as well. On DPS, on Red Mage, you'll be able to kill the ad without any problems. Dare you, shit. Oh, come on. Care about that. I just targets. You see how this can easily become too hard for, you know, a tank to do. For the next Fanatic Succubus, I am going to use a Rage Commander, because otherwise, I think we will probably time out. And obviously, my other Commanders wore off, and I'm going to need to turn them back on after I get done wall stacking her. Especially the steel. But the strength is also going on. See, on Red Mage, you also have the advantage of being ranged. And so that lets you, you know... I don't care about it. Just delete it. Gotta get this Fanatic Succubus as low as possible. Good enough. Just focus back to her. She's at the bomb stacks. She's just gonna eat it anyway. I said I was gonna rage that one, didn't I? Ah well. I'll rage the next one for sure, though. As you see how low we're getting on time here. You know what? I'm just gonna eat that too. Gotta take advantage of being able to tank privilege your way through AoEs sometimes. Can't tank privilege your way through Dark Mist though. That's terror. Damage and terror. She's gonna summon the next. She summoned it? Yep, she did. Get the fuck out of here. See, it has 56,000 HP. Quite a lot of HP. See how close we're cutting it on time, right? And it's fully likely that she will get another, you know, another succubus out, right? Like the amount of damage you have to be able to deal to this lady is pretty high. And I don't want to say this would have been impossible for Dark Knight before. Probably just a lot more difficult, because back in Heavensward and Stormblood, you had to have your tank stance on, which reduced the amount of damage you deal, in order for Soul Eater to heal you. Well, obviously you could just leave your tank stance off and rely completely on potions. But, you know, not my preferred way to go. Dark Mist. And look, there's there's the Fanatic Succubus. And look how much damage we took. Yeah. How much damage we've been taking. Insane what you can get away with on tanking here. It's actually kind of bad because it's making me be so risky. Jesus, it's almost 5%. Okay, we're just going whole hog on Tisiphone. Probably should have just gone whole hog on her, honestly. That last cycle, but oh well. We got her. Woo! Spring break! Okay. Now, there are no further achievements until floor 200, so it's quite the demand on you to do well. But for now, I'm going to have to stop the recording here. There's, less than 10 minutes left in the recording anyway. And next time I will show you floor 151 plus, which is where the Palace of the Dead becomes truly unique. It looks like we got a level skip person. And he is just like recruiting everybody. I guess it's okay though, we'll get more rank and maybe I'll make some friends. Anywho, thank you for watching. Stay safe and have a good day.